Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing something pretty interesting, I think. We're connecting some fairly high-level economic thinking with what's happening right now in classrooms or maybe outside classrooms, thanks to AI.
That's right. We're looking at the 2025 Nobel Prize in Economics, the one awarded to Joel Mokyr, Philippe Aghion, and Peter Howitt. And our mission really is to show you how their big ideas about what drives economic growth.
Well,
Well, they're directly plugged into this huge shift we're seeing in education globally.
exactly. The Nobel was for explaining innovation-driven economic growth. Sounds academic, maybe. But we're arguing it means education is moving from just being a nice-to-have social good.
To being the absolute core engine for future prosperity. It's becoming the driver. If innovation powers the economy, education is what fuels that power.
Okay, let's start there. With the engine itself, why was this Nobel such a big deal? We always knew capital and labor mattered for growth, right?
We did, yeah. But those have limits. Diminishing returns. What Mokyr, Aghion, and Howitt really nailed down is that sustained long-term growth, the kind that truly changes societies, isn't just about more stuff, more factories, more workers.
It's about better stuff, or doing things better.
Precisely. It's driven by innovation, new technologies, new methods, new products, new knowledge. It's a qualitative shift, not just quantitative.
So inventing the light bulb, not just making more candles.
Perfect analogy. And Mokyr, he laid out some crucial groundwork here. He said this kind of technological progress isn't just luck. It needs specific conditions.
Okay, what are they?
Three main things. First, you need access to useful knowledge, the science, the tech know-how. Second, you need mechanical competence, people who can actually build and use this stuff.
Makes sense. Knowledge and skills, what's the third?
And this one's maybe the trickiest. You need institutions open to technological change.
Unpack that. Why open institutions? If you've got the smart ideas and the skilled people, won't innovation just happen?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But imagine if the existing powers, maybe powerful guilds back then, or entrenched monopolies today, feel threatened by the new thing.
They might try to block it, protect their turf.
Exactly. They can lobby, regulate, or just create barriers. Molkyr's point is that even brilliant ideas can wither if the institutional environment, the sort of rules of the game, isn't receptive. The culture needs to allow for disruption.
Got it. Which brings us neatly to Aghion and Howitt and that famous term, creative destruction. Originally Schumpeter's idea, right?
That's right. Schumpeter coined it. But Aghion and Howitt formalized it mathematically, really embedded it in modern growth theory. They showed it's this relentless, ongoing process.
Not just a one-off event.
No, a constant churn. New technologies, new firms, new ways of doing things emerge. And because they're often better, faster, cheaper, they displace the old ones. Think streaming music killing CDs or online retail challenging brick-and-mortar stores.
Right, a painful process for the ones being destroyed, but ultimately drives the economy forward.
That's the theory. It's dynamic. It's messy sometimes, but it's how you get long-run progress.
Okay, so we have innovation, driven by knowledge and competence, thriving in open institutions, often through this process of creative destruction. Now, let's bridge this directly to education. How does education fit into this economic engine?
Well, if innovation is the key, then ask yourself, where does innovation come from? It comes from people with knowledge, people with skills, people who can think critically, adapt, generate new ideas, and spread them.
So education isn't just a side effect of a prosperous society.
It's the cause. It's the fundamental infrastructure. It builds the human capital that fuels the entire innovation flywheel. Without a strong educational base, that engine eventually sputters and stalls.
Which elevates education from just, teaching kids things to being a strategic, national, even global imperative.
Absolutely. And if education is the driver of creative destruction in the economy,
And it stands to reason.
and it stands to reason education itself must be open to creative destruction. It can't be immune. Precisely. And our sources really point to the traditional model being ripe for disruption, the so-called factory school.
Describe that. What are we talking about?
Think back maybe 150 years. Industrial Revolution. What kind of workers were needed? People who were punctual, followed instructions, did repetitive tasks reliably, fit into a hierarchy.
Okay, so the schools were designed to produce that.
Largely, yes. Rows of desks, bells for start and stop times, standardized curriculum, batch processing of students by age, focus on rote memorization and compliance. It served a purpose then.
But the skills it prioritized, conformity, memorization, these are exactly what AI and automation are making obsolete, or at least doing much better.
Exactly. The factory school trained humans to do things machines couldn't yet do. Now they can. So AI becomes this massive disruptive force within education itself.
How is that playing out? What's being creatively destroyed?
We're seeing challenges to the old guard. Think about the massive cost of traditional universities, sometimes with lagging curricula. Think about the textbook industry's dominance. Think about the reliance on standardized tests that often measure recall more than capability.
The ivory tower model is under pressure.
Definitely. And what's replacing it? We're seeing the rise of more flexible, accessible models. Micro-credentials, online skills platforms, AI-powered tutors, peer-to-peer learning networks. Our sources talk about the emergence of the infinite classroom.
Infinite classroom, I like that. But you mentioned something earlier, perhaps the most profound disruption AI brings is tackling literacy.
Yes, this is huge. Historically, almost all formal knowledge was locked behind text. If you couldn't read complex material, you were largely excluded.
And that's still a massive barrier globally.
Huge. Something like 750 million adults worldwide are considered functionally illiterate. They're cut off. But AI, specifically through voice interfaces, can potentially shatter that barrier.
You're talking about, like talking to a computer to learn, these talkbots you mentioned.
Yeah, but think more sophisticated than just asking Siri for the weather. Imagine an adaptive AI tutor you can have a conversation with. In your own language, AI now supports, over 100 languages? It can explain complex ideas, answer follow-up questions, adjust to your level, all through voice.
So you don't need to be literate before you start learning complex subjects.
That's the revolutionary potential. Give me an example.
Okay, maybe a smallholder farmer in India who speaks Hindi but doesn't read well.
Right. She could verbally ask an AI tutor in Hindi about new drought-resistant crops or soil management techniques or market prices, get personalized advice, ask clarifying questions, learn incredibly valuable information without ever needing to decipher a dense manual.
Or a mechanic in Brazil learning about new electric vehicle systems through conversation in Portuguese.
Exactly. The key shift, and it's fundamental, is that literacy might stop being the gatekeeper to learning. Instead, engaging learning, through conversation perhaps, could actually lead to literacy as people become motivated to read related materials. Learning drives literacy, not the other way around.
Wow, that flips the script entirely. You're essentially unlocking the knowledge of the world for potentially hundreds of millions more people.
That's the promise. And it moves us beyond the old goal, which was mainly about access.
Right, getting computers and internet into schools, that was the focus for a long time. Important, but still often just delivering static content.
Yeah, access is step one. But AI pushes us towards true personalization, and even more importantly, towards agency.
Okay, what's the difference there? Personalization and agency.
Personalization is the AI tutor adapting to you. Your tastes, your learning style, visual, auditory, interactive, identifying your specific knowledge gaps, keeping you motivated. It's making education a tailored conversation, not a one-size-fits-all lecture.
Like having a dedicated personal tutor for everyone.
Kind of, yes. But agency is the next leap. It's moving beyond just consuming information, however personalized, to actively using it, creating with it.
How does AI enable that agency?
It's about cultivating what our sources call the learning entrepreneur, someone who doesn't just learn about something, but immediately starts applying it, experimenting, building.
Give me an example of a learning entrepreneur.
Okay, imagine a 15-year-old in Nigeria. She uses an AI platform to learn coding basics through conversational tutorials in Igbo. But then she immediately uses AI tools, maybe low-code platforms, guided by the AI to build a simple app for her local community, maybe tracking market prices or a local news aggregator.
So she's not just absorbing, she's producing, creating value almost immediately.
Exactly. Or students in the Philippines learning about environmental science, then using AI image recognition tools, maybe trained with AI assistants, to help monitor satellite photos for signs of illegal logging in their region. That's moving from consumption to co-creation. It's like augmented invention.
That's powerful. If you combine that agency with the near zero cost of delivering content and the translation capabilities,
the vision becomes truly radical. Potentially free, high-quality high school, and even college-level education, accessible to basically everyone on the planet with a connection.
which would mean an absolutely unprecedented global surge in human capital.
Think about it. Mokyr's prerequisites, useful knowledge, mechanical competence suddenly become massively distributed globally. You're increasing the pool of potential innovators by orders of magnitude.
And changing the flow of knowledge itself, not just top-down from elite institutions.
Right. It shifts from a somewhat colonial model, knowledge flowing from a few centers, to a much more collaborative, networked model. Ideas can bubble up from anywhere.
It sounds incredible, almost utopian. But the Nobel laureates themselves warn that just having smart people isn't enough, right? There are always hurdles.
Huge hurdles. They stress the ecosystem. Education and skills are vital, but they need that fertile ground. Institutions that embrace change, not fight it. Strong rule of law, investment in R&D, access to capital. Without that supportive environment, even brilliant innovators struggle to scale their ideas.
And the destruction part of creative destruction. That's real too. Jobs are lost. Skills become obsolete.
Absolutely. This isn't painless. A rapid shift powered by AI will inevitably displace workers and devalue existing skills at an accelerated rate. So, alongside this educational revolution, you need massive investment in reskilling, lifelong learning programs, and robust social safety nets to help people navigate these transitions.
Yeah.
It has to be managed.
There's also the risk of creating new divides, isn't there? The digital divide is still very real.
It's perhaps the biggest immediate challenge. Who gets access first? Likely those who already have reliable internet, devices, and a certain level of foundational education. There's a real danger this could exacerbate existing inequalities if we're not incredibly intentional about inclusive deployment.
And what about risks from the AI itself? Bias, quality control.
Critical concerns. AI models can inherit biases from the data they're trained on, often data from wealthier Western contexts. This could lead to culturally skewed or even inaccurate information or homogenized perspectives. Then there's data privacy, ensuring the quality and veracity of AI-generated educational content. These are massive technical and ethical challenges.
So where should the focus be for policy, for investment, to try and realize the promise while mitigating the risks?
The consensus seems to be, don't just focus on creating content. The content is becoming abundant. Focus on the delivery systems, meaning the AI tutors themselves, making them high quality, unbiased, and available in many languages. Supporting the infrastructure for voice-based learning, building robust, secure peer-to-peer networks, ensuring equitable access to devices and connectivity. And institutions need to shift mindset from being gatekeepers of scarce knowledge to facilitators of abundant learning opportunities.
Okay, so pulling it all together, the Nobel Prize highlights that innovation is the engine of prosperity.
Right.
And AI, acting as a force of creative destruction within education itself, has the potential to massively democratize the very prerequisites for innovation that useful knowledge and competence Mokyr talked about.
Making them potentially universal at near zero marginal cost.
The ultimate goal being perhaps the greatest expansion of human potential in history, turning human ingenuity into our most abundant resource.
That's the electrifying possibility, yes. If we navigate the challenges carefully, if policy supports openness and equity, we could be laying the groundwork for an entirely new era of progress, driven by mass intelligence on a global scale. It fundamentally changes the economic calculus.
Which leads us to a final thought, something for you to ponder after this deep dive.
If we truly reach a point where the cost of educating one more person to a high level approaches zero, where high-level knowledge and the tools for creation become ubiquitous, and if learning shifts from primarily preserving the past to actively inventing the future, what kind of new ethical framework do we need for an age of mass intelligence? And maybe even more profoundly, how do we even define genius when the capacity for extraordinary learning and creation is potentially available to everyone?